Hey YouTube, Brian LCS. Thanks for stopping by the channel and this video, the Amazing Spider-Man number 92.BEY review. So this is an interesting book. This is the last of the side stories before we get to issue 93 and the finale of the Beyond story arc. And then we get a reboot of The Amazing Spider-Man in April. So this book really attempts to kind of clean up some storylines, tie up some loose ends. It actually has kind of 6 different story threads in it. And it actually does a pretty good job of wrapping things up. So let's take a look inside. So you'll see that the writers there are multiple writers and multiple artists because of the 6 different kind of storylines that are happening. So not going to go through them all, but we do have Jed MacKay, Cody Ziegler, and Zeb Wells for writers, and then a number of artists. So the first part of the story is really wrapping up the Colleen, Misty, and Morbius dealing with this lizard. We do find out that this is not the actual lizard in this story, Kirk Connors. But it was something that the Beyond Corporation created by using some of the lizard's DNA and Morbius's DNA from some earlier issues. So we basically see here that they're trying to deal with this oversized lizard, and Morbius basically lets him go and bite on him and basically take some of his blood. And, because he has a plan, basically by him allowing the lizard to do that, it creates a reaction with the lizard and his regeneration ability. And basically, he implodes. The lizard basically implodes from absorbing so much of drinking, really, Morbius's blood. And that's kind of end of the first story. And that was kind of to clean up the story thread that's been going on for a few issues. And then enter Monica Rambeau. So Monica has been in this very briefly. She does have a connection with Colleen and Misty. And so here we are. We have kind of the final piece of the Monica Rambeau story. And Misty and Colleen basically have called her in to clean up all of the other, villain experiments that Beyond has here. That we saw in last issue. And so she is there, but she also has another purpose for being there. She comes in and finds that Machine Man is here in the Beyond facility. And she basically, she has worked with Machine Man before, I guess previously with the Avengers. And so she's trying to get him motivated to give her a hand. He's, which I found interesting, he was drinking and upset that his girlfriend had left him. So not sure how an android Machine Man has a girlfriend, but hey, there's somebody out there for everyone. So they're basically, they kind of team up and they're dealing with all these creatures, basically destroying them, killing them, ripping them apart. And then at one point, Monica asked Machine Man to basically tap into the computer system of Beyond and set up the self-destruction of the facility. And then Maxine Danger, who's the head of the supervillain and superhero programs at Beyond, basically steps in hologram, and there's some back and forth with her and Monica, and basically saying, look, I'm taking this, I'm taking this place out. And there's nothing you can do about it. And so Monica then basically says to Machine Man, hey, thanks for setting us up. The building's going to blow up. And, luckily I have, supersonic speed. I can get you flying and I can get out of here. And Machine Man's kind of like, oh, you're going to kind of just leave me for dead here? But Monica then uses, I guess, another little device that she has that basically teleports them out of the situation before the building blows up. And that really, kind of wraps up that storyline. So, they're kind of back together, and the Beyond supervillain facility is now destroyed. And then we get a side story, another side story here. This is kind of the third story now, about a Beyond Corporation employee, Doug. This is Doug here. He's basically being fired for all, and he's been a character that's appeared in a few of the issues and along the storyline. He's basically just, some young kid that works for Beyond. And because he screwed up so much, he's basically going to get fired. And so this is kind of what this little story is about. And, we see that they are at Beyond headquarters, and there's some commotion going on, and there's a little Ben Reilly in the background. And the HR woman that Doug is dealing with, runs out because, she fears for her life with what's going on. And Doug grabs the computer, and basically, instead of, firing him, terminating his position, he basically gives himself a promotion. So a little bit of the side story there for Doug. So if anybody was on a cliffhanger about Doug, you got that wrapped up. And then we kind of jump into the next story, which is we see the Slingers. And so they were in a previous issue, and Maxine Danger Beyond has kind of hired them to be part of Beyond. And she basically instructs them that, she needs help, and she wants them to go deal with Ben Reilly. And so what we saw last issue was Ben Reilly went to the Beyond headquarters to hunt down Maxine Danger. And so now, now we have the Slingers and Ben Reilly being pitted up against one another. And then we move on to our, kind of our fifth story, epilogue number 1. So we see a little bit about the Queen Goblin now. And she is basically, kind of trying to figure out what's going on with her and how she was created. And, she constantly hears laughter in her head. And she basically then, makes a decision here that she's going to go deal with, with Norman Osborn, because, she was created based on DNA from, Osborn and the Green Goblin. And she basically says, look, I'm not going to deal with this laughter in my head and the, the sins of Osborn. I'm going to go deal with him, directly. So, obviously we're setting up a lot of things in this book for potential future storylines. And then we have epilogue number 2. We see Morbius, and he basically has a hunch and tracks down the actual lizard, Kirk Connors. And he basically says, hey, based on that experiment that I saw where they combined, my DNA with your DNA, hey, maybe we should work together and see what we can come up with. So again, something else that's kind of wraps up what was going on in this story, but potentially could lead to something else. And then that's basically it. And then we're on to, like I said, issue The Amazing Spider-Man number 93, which will wrap up the Beyond story arc and the overall series, because Amazing Spider-Man is being rebooted. So overall, I thought this was pretty good. It was kind of a good way to tie up a bunch of loose ends, or some open questions in the storyline. So in my 5 web rating system, I'm going to go with 3.5 webs for this one. So be on the lookout for issue Amazing Spider-Man number 93. Should have that next week, if not next week or the week after. So we'll be wrapping up the Beyond story. We'll see how it all ends. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know in the comments what you think. What do you think about the story threads? What potentially could we see in the future? But that's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.